I wish there were some magic bullet, magic pill, whatever the expression is. There are guys out there, and I only know the guys that are doing this. That's why I say guys, that will sell you a system that claims to generate leads at will, and they will meet you at the closing table. Essentially, right? The promise that it's easy to generate leads and turn them into closings. And it's not true. Have had the conversations with agents that have done all those systems that, like, the claim is I'll set up the Facebook traffic, I'll set up the landing pages, I'll set up the CRM, I'll do all of the work for you. And all you need to do is show up at the closing table. The fact is, there's no way to get around having the conversations. The leading indicator of a successful salesperson, let alone a real estate salesperson, is like, how many meaningful conversations did you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? You just got to do the work. What's up, real estate business builders? We had a coach mastermind recently, and I asked our coaches, and there was, I think, like, we have 5 or 6 coaches, and 4 of them or so were on this mastermind. And I asked them a question that I think is worth kind of unpacking on this training, on this time that we have together. The question that I asked them is, what do agents need to hear right now, but maybe they don't want to hear it? So what do you need to hear, not what you want to hear? And the answers that they came up with, this is kind of a composite, like an amalgamation, if that's even the right word, of kind of the feeling and sentiment around these coaches have not only coached hundreds of members in throughout the years in real estate B school, so they've seen all of it, right? And they've heard all of the excuses. They've seen what works, what doesn't work. They've also done real estate at a very high level as a solo agent, selling. One of them was at like 80 transactions as a solo agent before they brought on an admin. So they've done the solo agent position at a high level, and they've all built systems and built out a little bit of leverage to maximize the money they make in a reasonable amount of hours. So they've achieved at a very high level in their production business, the real estate production business, and also as a business coach over the years. So the first thing that we came up with in terms of what you need to hear, you don't want to hear it, is that, and I'm just going to call these out, and not all of these are going to hit everyone that hears these. You are unfocused. So most agents, and I think this is the general population, but let's just kind of dial it in just for real estate agents. Most agents, there is no rhyme or reason in how they go about their day, and even how they like plan their mornings. And not that like a 2-hour morning routine is what you need right now if you're struggling to string commission checks together, but just the haphazard lifestyle that they're living. And this is not like if you're single versus if you have kids. If you have kids, you really need to dial it in. You can't stay up watching Netflix from 10:30 to 12:30 every night if you have kids, because they're going to be up at 6:30, and you need to get up probably an hour or 90 minutes ahead of them to make sure you have your day planned out and you're doing the things you need to do to get ready to be a great parent, to be a great spouse, to kick butt at business, and then come home again and play the spouse or parent role once again. So generally, agents are picking up their phone, they're on social media, they're in emails, they're texting before a certain time. Same thing at night. They're haphazardly sort of serving clients, and randomly they have no hours of operation. They're not honoring time blocks. Easily distractible. You can see, if you're watching the visual version of this, you can see this is part of it, right? This is a squirrel. In business, squirrels are not good, right? Squirrels are a massive distraction. Meaning, I forget what movie it was, where it's like, there's a dog and they're like, squirrel. They see a squirrel and they just run for it. It didn't matter what they were doing. They see a squirrel and they run for it. So these are distractions in our business. And we have I imagine it's in any sales industry that we're marketed too heavily, and so this leaning toward thinking that the next great thing is going to be the solution to what's going on in my business. Very, very rarely is it the next great thing that's going to do anything in your business, right? Our systems are, they may not be the sexiest because systems building aren't the sexiest things, but they're massively profitable. They generate tons of leads. We start with leverage lead generation. And if you heard me before, yes, I will remind you that if you know you're struggling building up your business and generating leads without paying for leads or without paying referral fees at closings, you got to go to million-dollar-agent-method.com. We will teach you how to put systems into your business. We'll come alongside you and install systems in your business to generate leads, to convert them into consultations, to sign up all the sales frameworks. We've got a swipeable docs library that probably has 1,000 documents in it that would take you 5,000 hours to build on your own, and you get it all. And the first step is really just a consultation. So go to million-dollar-agent-method.com. All right, so that's number one, you're unfocused. Number two is you're impatient. You're impatient. I had an agent come up to me. I was down to the last seven, I'm trying to think. The last 8 years in my real estate team. I exited my real estate team in November 2020. But it was maybe a year before that. I had an agent that started on Monday. We've had our new agent start on Monday. He came in. I only worked one day a week in that business, and he came in and said, "Man, pleasure to meet you. And what's one piece of advice you can give me? Uh, you know, just to help me." And this is his second day in real estate. I think he was a brand new agent, and he, you know, whatever. The advice I gave him was give it 7 years. And I had never given that advice before. I had never really thought about that before, but it was the first thing that came out of my mouth. Give it 7 years. And what did I mean by that? He was 23 years old, and I think he shared that. So I said, give it 7 years. By the time you're 30, you will be out earning if you do what we tell you to do, because we know what works, right? You may not like the way, the intensity of how we teach and whatever, right? But what we're going to teach you 100% works. And if you stick with it for a year or two or three, your skills in this industry will be so lethal that you'll be out earning your friends by 4 or 5 times to one, right? Because I already know the trajectory. We've had agents come in making, selling 2 homes the year before they join us. And then they're selling, our minimum standard was 3 homes per month, right? So our systems are 100% dialed in. In fact, when I first got into real estate, I didn't have this grand vision to build a business and to help other agents in my market succeed with the systems that I developed. But all of those core systems, the same systems that I used to generate 44 closings myself personally with a part-time administrator, the same exact systems that I used the year we did 453 transactions and I had 10 producing agents and I worked 40 days that whole year. I was only in town for 40 Tuesdays and I traveled 12 weeks that year between business travel and personal travel. And it's the same systems that we teach in Million-Dollar Agent Method. So it's leverage lead generation. It is our appointment setting process. It's our consultation frameworks, and then leverage client care. And that's it. And it's swipeable, deployable out of the gate. So my point here is that if you have this longer term vision and you're willing to do the work and work on the things that you need to work on and stop being so impatient, give yourself a little bit of time to put the systems in place to get the results that are possible in this industry. So the third point here, in terms of the things you need to hear, but maybe don't want to hear, is that you're not doing the work. You're not doing the work. I wish there were some magic bullet, magic pill, whatever the expression is. There are guys out there, and I only know the guys that are doing this, that's why I say guys, that will sell you a system that claims to generate leads at will, and they will meet you at the closing table, essentially, right? The promise that it's easy to generate leads and turn them into closings. And it's not true. I've had the conversations with agents that have done all those systems that, like, the claim is I'll set up the Facebook traffic, I'll set up the landing pages, I'll set up the CRM, I'll do all of the work for you. And all you need to do is show up at the closing table. And now I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek here, but the fact is there's no way to get around having the conversations. The leading indicator of a successful salesperson, let alone a real estate salesperson, is like, how many meaningful conversations did you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? Of course, you want to have the lead generation systems in place to generate inbound, high quality buyer and seller leads. So when you pick up the phone, you have conversations with those leads. It's not cold calling. I don't condone cold calling. I don't condone, door knocking and freaking out people, as unless it's around an open house. I'm okay with that. But circle prospecting, it's just a tough way to go about it. Uh, so are you actually having conversations on a daily basis? Are you tracking your numbers? Are you actually doing the work? Right? So that's something that I see just across the board, 9 out of 10 agents. And maybe you don't know what the actual work of a real estate agent is because it's not taught to you in real estate school. When you get your license, nobody tells you that, hey, if you time block your mornings and you approach these few lead sources and you have these numbers of conversations and you say these things and you know what I mean? Nobody teaches that at all, when you get your license, ironically, and brokerages don't generally teach it. The fourth thing that you don't want to hear is that you are unskilled. And you may not be unskilled. So I'm just saying it for a little bit of shock and awe here. Generally, the reason why you don't want to have those conversations is you just don't know what to say. By the end of my second full year, so it ended up being what, like 24 plus 10, so 34 months, I closed 131 transactions. I did it off a single lead source and a single script. So it wasn't rocket science, but I knew that script. But when I first used that script with the first lead, I figured out how to generate low cost, high quality lead inbound. When I first used that script, I was horrible. It was cringy. It was not, it did not feel good, but I just did it. And by the 100th conversation I had, I was looking at the paper less. By the 500th, prospect I talked to, all my lead nurture systems and all my follow-up systems were in place. So those were coming back. I was having follow-up conversation. I had generated some rapport and the conversations were flowing way, way easier. Right. But I became skilled, and that skill I was able to convert at a way higher level, 12 months in or 24 months in than I was when I was, 1 month into that lead source using that script. Let's randomly use numbers. It would probably take me 50 conversations to set one consultation when I first started with that lead source in that script. And I probably got it down to 15 or 20 conversations. So I 2.5 increased, my proficiency on that lead source with the script that I was using, right? Most agents don't want to even go into that game in terms of like, I don't want to use a script. It sounds so mechanistic. I don't know if that's a word, but sounds so mechanical, right? Who wants to be scripted? The only reason you use scripts is that ultimately you embody the script and it just flows and it becomes a dialogue. So it becomes the structure of the conversation, not like so important that you stick to exactly word for word what the script is. So you are unskilled. That is something you don't want to hear, but it's likely true. And the last thing here, the fifth thing is that you're letting yourself off the hook. We have a sort of a mantra within Real Estate B School is that success in this industry is it's actually not very complex. It's rather simple, but it's not easy. And I know you've heard that expression before. When it comes to your success in anything, you're willing to kind of give up earlier than you would need to realize the success that you ultimately want. And this mantra at Real Estate B School is that if we let you off the hook, we're letting you down, right? Because we know the journey to make this unreasonable amount of money in a reasonable amount of time with a lower level of stress than traditionally successful agents. We know that journey is not going to come without you getting uncomfortable, and not uncomfortable where you're going to have to do like crazy things that are like insurmountable, but you're going to have to show up differently in your business, and you're going to have to work on systems. And maybe you're not good at sitting in one place for 90 minutes and sort of knocking out a database touch program, right? And putting your social media calendar together, or implementing our motivated seller letter campaign, or a luxury expired program, or our new construction, lead gen lever. Or even more sort of dry and unsexy is the lead nurture sequences that will have you put into place. 90% of your future business is going to come not from the first conversation you have with a would-be buyer or seller. It's going to come from the follow-up value add sequences that you put those prospects into, right? But building those out it's not very fun. We have all this stuff, you can swipe and deploy it, but you still have to do it. You still have to build it into your business so you own it, and you don't have to pay those crazy, 30+% referral fees to, Zillow Flex and Homelight and whatnot. So that's all I've got for you. Hopefully this didn't like have you just opt out of this world and not come back. If you know you need a next step, you want a next step in the journey, go to $1,000,000agentmethod.com. That's $1,000,000agentmethod.com. And we'll see you on the next training.